Hi, this is Josh with Stabil FIT Life and welcome back. In today's video, we're going to go over the kettlebell snatch. So, the kettlebell snatch. We talked about the kettlebell swing. You can find that video here. We talked about the kettlebell clean. Find that video here. We also talked about the kettlebell high pull. You can find that video here. Now, we're at the kettlebell snatch. Out of all the kettlebell exercises, in my opinion, this one reigns supreme. All right, it's gonna tax you. I mean, any kettlebell exercise is gonna tax you, whether you use lightweight, heavyweight, or if you're going for time or you're going for reps. But this one, your form matters, okay? Your form truly matters because now we're lifting the kettlebell over our head, okay? And we're also bringing it down from a higher position. So not only there's risk involved as far as dropping the kettlebell on your head, driving your hips so hard that the kettlebell flies out of your hand because you have too loose of a grip and it goes through your ceiling and damages your roof and damages your hardwood floors or wherever the case may be. All right. And also, too, you have a chance of there's an opportunity out there that you're going to rip skin. So we're going to talk about all that stuff for you today. Not trying to scare you. I'm just saying that these things can happen. All right. In the worst case scenario possible, these things can happen. All right, so let's talk about the kettlebell snatch. Same setup. When you're talking about the swing, the clean, the high pull is going to be the same setup. Now we're going to have to drive our hips a little bit more. So a foot behind the kettlebell, grab it, hike it like a football, and bring it back up here. Then we're going to bring it down, drive it. And bring it back down. So that was a kettlebell snatch right there. Now, for beginners, I like to break this down to make this simpler and easier to help not only your technique and improve it, but also help build your confidence. Because again, we're bringing this thing, this ball, this weight over our head, okay, and we're bringing it back down. But let's deconstruct it a little bit. So, remember that high pull? That's what I want you to do. So we'll start, bring it to high pull, bring it a little higher, bring it a little higher. And once we're here, stab right through. All right, eccentric control, right? Eccentric on the military press. Go back down, do the same thing. A little higher, stab. Eccentric control down, like we're in that clean. That bottom portion of the clean, drop it back down. High, a little higher, straight the hips, and bring it back down. Kettlebell down. That's one way you can deconstruct the snatch. Another way is, if you just don't want to, let's progress it from there. So here, snatch it. Eccentric control, which is known as a half snatch. You're at the bottom clean. Go back down, snatch it. Down. And down. Put it back down. So that's level 2 of deconstructing it. And now we're going to try to do the whole thing. So, there you go. So if you notice in the video, it's probably hard from that angle. Now I'll try to slow this down in the next scene here. But when I snatch this kettlebell, all right, I'm trying to keep my hands, my grip, as loose as possible. When I'm pulling, I'm using this hook grip like this. As I'm in this position, driving, here when I'm driving my hips back, the kettlebell is in this hook position here. And as I pop my hips forward and I bring it up, I'm trying to make this kettlebell weightless as it's transitioning into the air. Once it gets above a certain point here, I want to transition that kettlebell. The kettlebell is going to transition because I'm stabbing it in the air. So when I come here, I'm bringing it up, and I'm stabbing it in the air to get my hand through. And then when I come back down, there's a couple ways you can do it. You could try to lean back a little bit as you're bringing it down. You can do a little wrist flip of the kettlebell. And then again, I want this kettlebell to be weightless as it's transitioning in the air. I'm trying to catch that kettlebell back into that hook grip and then start in that hinge position again. So I'm gonna have this and I'm gonna slow it down so you can see it. Notice the hook grip at the bottom of the snatch. The kettlebell is weightless in the air. Transition into the stab at the top position. I normally do a wrist flick. Kettlebell is weightless in the air. Transition back into that hook grip and back into the bottom position of the hinge. And just notice the little subtle hand transition as the kettlebell is just flowing through my hands. You don't want too loose of a grip, but you don't want too tight of a grip either. You want that kettlebell to be able to flow through your hand as you're transitioning from the hinge to the top of the snatch. Now, in the beginning, it may not look like this. Your grip may not be this loose in the beginning because we're still learning the technique. You may have a death grip. All right, so when you go up in weight, or the more you practice, you will notice that you're gripping the kettlebell too tight because guess what? Your body, your hands, is going to be screaming at you when you're gripping it too tight, okay? So this is when you need to learn. Keep the weight light and learn to practice the technique. And just practice. Just like I showed you the level 1 and level 2 variation of it. Practice on driving the hips. Driving those hips. Bring the kettlebell back, bring it a little higher. Bring it a little higher. Stab, eccentric control back down. Try to do the transition. Try to focus on your hand transition every step of the way. And then if you want to go to the next progression, which is a level 2, which is now we're going right into the snatch and eccentric control. Again, keep the weight light and practice that hand transition. And then when you're ready to go full-on kettlebell snatching, okay, now it's again, keep the weight light and we're just practicing the hand placement or hand transition around that kettlebell. Okay, but again, trust me, in the beginning, it's gonna take time. It took me some time to get this snatch down. All right, and I'm not saying I'm perfect. My technique's not perfect, all right? But again, when we're fatiguing, or if we're going for time, or if we're going for reps, or we're snatching heavy weight, all right, I guarantee you my hand placement, my hand transition is gonna be perfect every time because I wanna avoid ripping the skin off my hands to avoid missing training days. Because trust me, a year ago, when I was just still learning the snatch, I tore my hand pretty bad going down the middle. And again, it took me out of 2 weeks of training. Couldn't do nothing. Yeah, I taped my hand and it felt better, right? And I could still do something, but I couldn't go my maximal effort, all right? So you want to try to avoid that. And take care of your hands. Have another video that shows you how to take care of your hands, all right? Both part 1 and part 2, so definitely watch that video, all right? But kettlebell snatch. To me, in my opinion, like I said in the beginning of the video, it is the pinnacle of all kettlebell exercises. Again, we're not perfect in the beginning. It's all about getting the reps in, getting the reps in, getting the reps in, getting the reps in. Practice, 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 right? And once you get better, once you get confident, continue to add the weight, all right? And again, the more you train, especially with kettlebell snatching. The more you train, your hands are going to get conditioned too, but you got to take care of your hands. So hopefully you like this video. If you want a better explanation, if you want something else added to the kettlebell snatch, please put that in the comment section below. It'll help us give you what you want out there. And also help us grow our channel. So please like this video, subscribe to the channel. More is coming your way. And have a Stabil FIT life. I'll see y'all soon.